guitar, but let's actually do this first because it'll be nice to know. Hello, there's Tony on Facebook. That's pretty neat. And it looks like we have a Tony on the party page. That's also very neat. And the trifecta of streamingness is also on YouTube. Sweet. That looks like we are live. One of the things I would love, for those of you who are just popping on, I just popped on a little bit early here. We're all popping on. I actually popped on at 10:30 because we're going live at 11, but I wanted to work through any technical issues. So for those of you who happen to be tuned in right now, first of all, thank you for popping on again. If you could let me know that the sound is okay and that you can hear me okay, that would be great. That would ease my worried mind if you could do that. So please let me know. And let's see. Oh, cool. Jim B says hi from sunny Vermont. Leslie D says, hey, boss. And all sorts of folks tuning in on the YouTubes over there. And let's see where else we got comments. See you, hear you. Lisa E says, see you, hear you over on Facebook. That's fantastic. Mike says it sounds great, and that just makes me so darn happy. You all have no idea. Technology is not necessarily my strong point, but I'm certainly learning quite a bit. So I'll take it. I'll take what I can get in terms of the technology department. I'm going to give myself a round of applause just because. Well, good morning. This is kind of the pre-funk. So this is your chance. If you have any questions rolling around your brain, this is kind of an Ask Me Anything scenario in which we'll start the official live party at, I almost said 6. We're not going to start at 6. We're going to start at 11 a.m. But again, I just wanted to get on here a little bit earlier and just make sure that everything was working okay. Looks like the volume is maybe a little bit low, so I will go ahead and adjust that. All good here, Mark says. Hi from India. Very cool. 5x5 for sound. I think that's a good thing. Fantastic. Matthew M says, hey, man, I bought a Martin HD35 because of you last year. Best buy ever. Thank you. Well, gosh, you're welcome. That's really cool. Congratulations on your HD35 there, Matthew. That's a hell of a guitar. One of my favorites, as you probably know. The HD35 is an interesting Martin model because it is, to the best of my knowledge, unless something's changed, and that very well could be, but to the best of my knowledge, it's the lightest braced model, meaning that D35s inherently have quarter-inch bracing, a little bit lighter than the standard 5/16 inch, and an HD35, not only the H does not only stand for herringbone, but it also stands for scalloped bracing, meaning you have a quarter-inch braced guitar, and that bracing is scalloped, meaning some of the material is taken away. So it makes for a really stellar, responsive, big-bodied guitar. The reason that I got it in the first place, and man, I really love mine. The crazy thing is I'm just thinking of when I got mine. I think I got my HD35, I want to say in 2006. So 14 years ago, which is, that is a little bit crazy to say out loud. It's very crazy to say out loud because the HD35 was the first, like, I remember telling my dad I had just put a Martin on layaway, and he was like, oh, that's awesome. But it took me forever to pay it off. I was selling everything on eBay. I was finding, like, old vintage mouthpieces from trumpets and trombones, and I was selling those on eBay. I didn't even know anything about them. I found a bunch, and I thought, well, I'll sell these. And it turned out that a lot of that actually funded the purchase of that guitar. So it's kind of interesting trading one musical instrument technically for another musical instrument. But just so you all know, for those of you who are just joining, I am going to start the official guitar party at 11. We're going to be kicking off Fretboard Wizard today, which is always a fun time. And it's this kind of anticipation of acquisition of knowledge that is so darn exciting, and I can't wait to share some tips with you all on going through the program, how to work through it best, and just some things to watch out for as you go through the program. Plus, we have some really great Fretboard Wizard declarations from past Fretboard Wizard alumni, as well as some great performances from the Tony's Acoustic Challenge community. Some really awesome tunes played extremely, extremely well. So I'm super excited to share all of that with you. I should note this morning a little personal story while we're getting going here. I didn't see any questions come in, so if you do have questions, just fire them off in the comments wherever you may be watching. Here we go. Mark B has a question, and actually involves the story that I was just going to share with you all. 2 questions. Will Acoustic Tuesday return to the studio, or are you digging doing it from home? That's a really great question. I really enjoy Acoustic Tuesday in the studio, but I feel like a lot of times when I'm in the studio, I have like this. It's not anxiety. It's like, oh, it's Studio Tony. Not that Studio Tony's all that different from regular Tony, but I've noticed that when I'm at home, I feel much more relaxed. I'm surrounded by, my little music den at home and my little studio, and I can talk about my guitars, and it's a little bit more free-flowing. So I am really liking shooting the Acoustic Tuesday show from home. But the good thing is that, if anything, the whole, COVID quarantine situation, and then Emerson being born has taught me that I can really do the Acoustic Tuesday show from kind of anywhere, and it's really fun. It kind of creates this interesting dimension to the show. So I've really enjoyed doing it at home. In fact, it's made me keep my studio maybe a little bit cleaner than I normally do. So that's a kind of a side bonus, which is pretty awesome. Let's see. There's some actually really cool kind of gear questions coming in here. This is over on YouTube. Daniel I says, my G and D strings buzz on the 10th fret only. Any ideas why? It could be a fret leveling issue. Let me actually grab a guitar and maybe I can point it out here. I don't want to wrap up myself in chords here. But so the G and D strings, way up here on the 10th fret, if they're only buzzing there, let's see, there we go. You can see the guitar better. If they're only buzzing there, chances are you have a high fret above that 10th fret, meaning that when they install frets on a guitar, they use a big bar to level them out to make sure that they're level and they don't cause any fret buzz. Because if you depress the string down here and you have a high fret up here, chances are that string can rattle against that fret and cause a weird buzzing sensation like you're experiencing. But the crazy thing is once you go past that high fret, like I bet on your guitar, if you go up 11th, 12th, that buzz probably goes away. So chances are it sounds like maybe the 11th fret is a touch high. Always tough to say without having the guitar in hand, but certainly taking it into a shop or even calling a shop. I know maybe times are difficult and it's hard to get physically into a shop, but maybe calling your local shop and describing the problem to them, they could at least advise you or say, hey, maybe you should drop it off and we should have a look at the frets. But usually that's the case is a higher fret or an unlevel fret. Juan asks a great question. How do the D35 and the HD35 differ? I actually touched on this right at the beginning, but I'll say it again because it's a common confusion point because we have the D35 and the HD35, and they look very similar. Both of the HD35 and D35 stock have a Sitka spruce top and a 3-piece Indian rosewood back and sides. However, the D35, aesthetically we're talking first, aesthetically the D35 will have a black pickguard and it will not have herringbone trim around the top, whereas an HD35 has a faux tortoiseshell pickguard and there's a herringbone purfling around the top. But that's not all. Internally, you'll see that the D35 has 1/4-inch non-scalloped bracing, whereas the HD35 has 1/4-inch scalloped bracing. So subtle aesthetic difference and actually subtle bracing and structural difference as well makes for two very different sounding guitars. The D35 is generally pretty boomy. You can generally strum it a little bit harder than the HD35 because it has a stiffer top, whereas that HD35 is built a little bit lighter, so it responds, I think, better to maybe a lighter hand, a lighter strum. Awesome question. Really awesome question. This is fun. I'm glad. So I got about 15 minutes until the official live guitar party starts, and we're going to kick off Fretboard Wizard. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to work through the program, and really you can apply these tips and tricks to your own guitar journey wherever you're at, whether you're taking the Fretboard Wizard course or not. But it will definitely apply to those starting Fretboard Wizard this week. In fact, there's some great stuff that I've learned along the years in putting on the Fretboard Wizard program that I want to share with you today that I think will really make a huge difference in how much you get out of the program. Even if you're coming back to the program after some time away, maybe you signed up for Fretboard Wizard some years ago and you think, you know what, I'm going to jump back in. So the tips I'm going to share with you I think are going to be really beneficial to your guitar journey. But I'm going to take these next 15 minutes and just kind of, well, I'm just going to share with you what's on my brain and go ahead and answer some questions here. And let's see, there was one question I saw as a proud papa. Any pictures of Emerson? Leslie D asked this, and I do. Let me see if I have him on my phone. I don't have him on my computer, but I got to show you his Halloween outfit. We dressed him up as a vampire, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this super clear on my phone. But so for those of you who don't know, Emerson's my son. He's about 6 weeks old now, and we dressed him up as a vampire for Halloween, all of 15 minutes. But here's what he looked like. I don't know if y'all can see that. But yeah, that was his first Halloween. Pretty awesome stuff. And we basically, Whitney and I fed him on the couch, and we watched Rocky Horror Picture Show. A very fun Halloween evening. Kiwiji Bop 95 says, looking forward to the new Gwennifer Raymond album. 100%. I love that she's been releasing. I think she's released 2 songs off of it thus far. It comes out November 13th. I believe I have that date correct. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Gwennifer Raymond, she's a fantastic primitive guitarist, very along the lines of John Fahey, Glenn Jones, Daniel Bachman. Kind of, I don't want to compare her to those because she certainly has her own guitar voice in her own right, but she's definitely in that genre. So for those of you who haven't heard of her, definitely check her out. Her first album is beautiful. It's amazing. I think it's a masterpiece, and I'm really looking forward to this second one coming out. Great question. Oh, Pete. Yeah, Pete. Pete Richter just popped on YouTube, and he said the fret rocker from StewMac. This is in reference to the high fret discussion we had just a little bit earlier. He said the fret rocker from StewMac, this is a great tool to figure out if you have a high fret. Indeed. Good call, Pete. And Pete is one heck of a guitar geek, I have to say. Pete, cheers to you, buddy. Cheers to you. I got my Guitar Wizard mug because we're doing a Fretboard Wizard kickoff. What was the story I was going to tell you all? Yeah, that's right. I can't tell you the full story because there's a piece in an upcoming Acoustic Tuesday show that I think I'll spoil if I tell you the full story. But upon coming to the studio today, so I got up early this morning, helped Whitney out around the house, fed the dogs while she took care of Emerson. And I'm like, okay, cool. I threw my mandolin in the car because I usually bring that to work because sometimes I just need to clear my brain. I need to take my hands off the guitar, do something different, come back to the guitar. So I went ahead and popped open the garage door, to which I found garbage all over our driveway. Some sort of critter got into our garbage can and strew garbage everywhere. So instead of leaving for work or leaving for the studio on time, I ended up taking a snow shovel and shoveling garbage. But it was a great way to wake up. I mean, the weather's still nice here. We had a big snowstorm, but the weather's still good, and it was pretty eventful. But I got to tell you, for those of you, I know that was kind of a lame story. I got to be honest, but it connects to a story I tell in Acoustic Tuesday next Tuesday. So just be sure to tune into that because there's a fun little news from the home front segment. Juan asks, "What are my favorite strings and why?" Um, and Dominic S actually answered for me, and he's dead on. The Santa Cruz parabolic tension strings are my 100% absolute favorite. I can't say enough good things about those strings. They come in a low tension and a mid tension. It's less about the thickness of the string or the gauge of the strings and more about the actual tension that they place on the top of the instrument. So with the Santa Cruz parabolic tension, what I'm noticing, at least on the guitars that I put the strings on, is that they're able to pull these subtle nuances out of the instrument that other strings have failed to do. And I'm not saying other strings are bad. I still use other strings and try them out frequently. In fact, I experiment quite a bit. My latest experiment was with the D'Addario, nickel bronze strings, which I enjoyed. Didn't like as much as the Santa Cruz parabolic tension strings, but it's kind of a different animal altogether. But the Santa Cruz parabolic tension strings really they feel good in terms of like how they feel under your hand, both the fretting hand and the picking hand. And I just feel like they're pretty roadworthy. They last a good while, and they just sound so good. They sound so solid. And there's this tiny little thing that I have to share with you that I think makes all the difference. And I know it's silly, and I could be splitting hairs here, but instead of an open ball end on the strings, it's a solid piece of brass on the ball end. So, and I think, I don't know. Again, I could be splitting hairs, but I do think that actually adds to the contact that the string has with the bridge plate, and more importantly, just that transfer of tone. I could be talking major minutia here. Major minutia. That's kind of an oxymoron. But but nonetheless, yes, Santa Cruz parabolic tension strings are definitely my go-to. I'm gonna pop over to the party page here and grab a couple of questions off of there. Robert J says, "I am ready for another round of Fretboard Wizard." Indeed, as am I. I'm super pumped, actually. This is a fun one. I'm very excited because, as I was mentioned before, I don't know if you tuned in, we're going to start the live party here in about 9 minutes, and the official party, I should say. And we'll talk about Fretboard Wizard. And I want to share some things that I've learned through the years that will help you work through the program. Whether, again, it's your first time going through Fretboard Wizard or you're coming back around for your second or third lap. What I'm going to share with you is I think, pretty potent information. Smiley Nelson asks, "How do I find a great guitar technician?" This is a lot of trial and error. I would say, depending on your locale, there's usually, one go-to technician. And it can be kind of hard to find, but one of the things that may help you out is if there's any local guitar builders in your area, you can reach out to them. A lot of times they won't work on guitars or don't do repair, and that's totally fine, but they can likely recommend to you somebody nearby that does repair work. A lot of times you can look at Martin, Taylor, Collings, pretty much any major manufacturer have licensed technicians in which those repair people have to go through, in some cases, some rigorous qualifications to become a qualified, authorized repair person for Martin, Taylor, Collings, etc. Again, those big names. So that might be a way to kind of circumvent your search, or not circumvent it, but make it maybe a little bit shorter, in that you can check out those websites, Martin, Taylor, Gibson, look for repair people by state, and you can usually find a pretty darn good repair person there. So hopefully that helps. Chuck says, "Fretboard Wizard, just do it." I wish we could make shirts like that, but I think Nike would just come after us. I think I think that would be bad. I'm not sure. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, this is so cool. Really great questions coming in. A couple playing questions on YouTube, and then I think we can probably kick things off officially. I want to thank everybody for just chiming in and asking questions and whatnot before I start the official Fretboard Wizard kickoff here. It's really fun to connect with you all and just kind of talk shop. I don't get a chance to do this as much, but when the technology works, it kind of creates this wonderful little golden brick road. it creates a nice path, a clear path for us to just hang. So I can have my coffee, talk shop, get all wired in front of you guys uh, and gals. Paul A. asked this. He says, lame question. For a new player, would you recommend a music stool or just any old chair? Finding the guitar a little uncomfortable, just rested on my leg, to be honest. Just stick with it? Great question, actually. This is not a lame question. There's a couple of things I would recommend. There for classical guitar, they make a footstool that actually raises your foot up, so you can take the guitar from kind of a standard, what I call a folk style, like holding it like this on your leg, to holding it more propped up. Kind of in between, the lower bout ends up between your legs. That can sometimes ease some tension and help you fret chords much cleaner, actually, because ergonomically, I think it's a little bit better. But in terms of stools, you gotta, if you're gonna play guitar for any period of time, you want to be comfortable. The stools that are my go-to are made by a company called Rockin' Sock, ROCNSOC, and they make a variety of stools, some with back, some that are like kind of saddle, meaning they kind of like cradle your tush. There's just a standard round kind of bar stool one, but they're very comfy, super durable, and I have two of them at home. I have one for my drums, which I don't play, so I actually use the drum stool for the guitar room, and I have a standard height bar stool as well. Very, very comfy. So check those out. I think those, any combination of that footstool that I mentioned, and there's a couple of different brands out there, but those Rockin' Sock stools are pretty stellar. And again, if anybody else has any recommendations, just throw them in the comments. I think that'd be awesome. Let's see. There were a couple other questions I wanted to get at here. Patrick B says, do you have any ukuleles? I keep one on my desk at work to practice fingering the fretboard. This could be a short story or a long story. I don't have any ukuleles at the moment. I had a beautiful, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this story. I had a beautiful Kamaka ukulele from the 70s that my dad actually got when he went to Hawaii. And remember the Martin HD35 that I talked about, and I was selling things on eBay because I wanted to get this HD35? One of the things I sold was that Kamaka ukulele, which was really dumb. I'll just be honest right now. It was really, really dumb. But I do keep the mandolin next to my desk just here at the studio. I mean, I'm surrounded by guitars all the time, and I love that. I feel very lucky to be able to say that, by the way. But sometimes if I'm working through something on guitar and it's just not clicking, I have to reset my brain on something else. So I'll grab the dobro or the banjo or the mandolin. Usually the mandolin because it's just convenient. It's tiny. Just to kind of reset my brain, and then I can come back to the guitar. And it's kind of like a palate cleanser, I guess, in a way. Let's see. There was another. Okay, Mark. I got two more questions, and then we'll really dive into the officialness here. Let's see. So Mark B says, so on a Martin OM28, would you put the light or medium tension Santa Cruz parabolic tension strings? I'm thinking lights, and the mediums are for an HD28. This is an interesting question because I usually go by scale length, but not always. I know that's not a direct answer. So in terms of how I choose light or mid-tension, I generally favor mid-tension on my larger bodied guitars, most dreadnoughts, but also OMs because they have a longer scale length, the 25.4-inch scale length. Whereas on the smaller body instruments, like I have a 35 Martin Single 017, that gets the light tension strings because that guitar is so light anyway, it doesn't need a lot of tension to activate it. So yeah, it's really personal preference, but generally speaking, if it has a longer scale length, 25.4, I'll use the mid-tension strings. There is a caveat, though, because my Santa Cruz Vintage Southerner, which has a shorter scaling, 24.9, that actually I use mid-tension strings on because I think it's just a match made in heaven. The guitar sounds great with them on it. So it's a little bit of personal exploration, but I do refer to scale length to kind of dictate what may work. Your experience might be just a little bit different. Okay, there was another one. Dominic S. says, the B string sounds always a bit out of tune on my Hummingbird. Do you have any ideas why? Kind of. I do have some ideas. The B string is kind of a pain in the butt. That's why it's called the B string, because it's a pain in the butt. Butt starts with B string. So generally speaking, when I tune my guitar, in fact, I'll grab a tuner right here. There's a lot of stuff going on my desk. My desk looks like a wreck right now. As my mom would say, it looks like a tornado hit it. So generally, I'll tune my B to pitch right now. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear this all good through the computer, but so I've tuned everything to straight up and down green on a snark. And I'll go ahead and just play a standard 3-finger G chord so you can see it here. Now to me, that B string sounds a little weird. So generally what I'll do is I'll flat the B string just maybe a cent, just so it's just touching the red in the snark. And it kind of sweetens things up a little bit. And this is kind of a workaround, because Western instruments, we're tuning to something, and I'm not going to get all the terms here, but I'll try my best. We're basically tempering our tuning so we can play in all 12 keys equally out of tune. I know that sounds bizarre. But sometimes the B string at standard pitch works great. For example, if I played an E chord after tuning to straight up and down on the snark, it would sound fine. But then when I went and played the G, it would sound subtly sour. Great band name, Subtly Sour. So sometimes we have to adjust that B string depending on what key we're playing in. So if I'm playing in C, I tune the B string to standard pitch. If I'm playing in G, I flatten the B string just a little bit to sweeten it up. I know that doesn't necessarily answer your question directly, but that could be why your B string sounds a little goofy. One more question, then we'll dive into the official party here. Let's see. What's your take on purchasing a guitar? Do you think you should only buy a guitar you have played, or do you think it's okay to take a chance and buy one online as long as you know the specs? I think specs are a great indicator of what a guitar might sound like. I think generally speaking, you can lean on specs to get yourself in the arena of what a guitar might offer you tonally. However, nothing beats playing a guitar in person. But I will say this. Most high-quality shops, and this is not a knock at shops that don't do this at all, but most shops that deal in higher-end acoustic instruments will generally sell you something on approval. Meaning, if I buy something, let's say I bought something from Eddie's Guitars, and by the way, I'm not speaking for Eddie's Guitars here, but I could very well see this scenario happening. If I bought something from Eddie's Guitars and I said, hey, Matt, I really like how this guitar looks on paper, and Matt's actually usually really good at this because he'll give me an in-hand description. A lot of times we'll FaceTime if I'm looking at a guitar and I can't physically play it. But a lot of times what will happen is you could say, hey, I'm interested in this guitar. I'm interested in this guitar. It looks great on paper. I just need to play it first. Can I buy it on approval? Meaning you purchase the guitar, but you have an approval window where you can actually play it at home, put it through its paces, play it with your own pick, play your own style, and make sure the guitar really works for you. So that's kind of a workaround. I've been okay. I've actually really lucked out buying guitars online, and I have used specs to kind of dictate what I choose. For better or worse, I mean, it works for me. It has worked for me. In fact, both the mandolins I bought, I just got another mandolin off the record. I shouldn't have said that. The one mandolin that I have, I bought. I asked the seller, a private seller, to just send me a video clip. And luckily, because of technology, we kind of put ourselves at a nice advantage. We can actually hear things. As opposed to before where it was just kind of like, well, I'm going to click buy and hopefully it sounds great. So great question, Juan. And thanks everybody for popping in early and asking such awesome questions. I really, really appreciate it. Let's dive into the official Fretboard Wizard Kickoff party right now. I've got a lot on tap for today. The today's live guitar party is going to consist of a short workshop that I'll do at the beginning, which essentially is just me sharing with you some tips and tricks, 5 of the most kind of important things to keep in mind as you go through the Fretboard Wizard program this round. These are pulled from things that I've learned through the years of teaching it and frequently asked questions as well. So make sure to take notes if you're a note taker, because I think this information will really help you out. After that, we'll look at some performances from within the TAC community. We'll also look at a couple of Fretboard Wizard declarations, which is really fun because you can see kind of the fruits of the guitar geeks that go through it, the fruits of their labor. So that'll be really exciting. In fact, there's a really fun one that I want you to see. What else do I have on tap today? Of course, at any point in time today, and this is where I have to get official. At any point in time today, if you have a question for me relating to what I'm talking about, or maybe not, please, in the comments, put #question. That will help me suss out what's a question and what's just general kind of chatter, okay? Actually, it won't help me. It'll help Jonah. Jonah is our... He's our moderator from afar. Jonah actually feeds me the questions to keep me on track so I don't get lost in discussion, which is, I'm pretty easily distractible. So that's what's going to go down today. Just to kind of give you an overview, if this is your first live guitar party, I should say a welcome. 100% welcome with open arms. Congratulations on your first guitar party. If this is your 76th guitar party, welcome for the 76th time. I'm pumped you're here. Let's go ahead and dig in. So as I mentioned, we're going to kick things off with a short workshop, and then at the end, you see the dartboard back there? I always do this on the mirrored screen. See the dartboard back there? Back there on the dartboard are the pictures of everyone who finished the Tony's Acoustic Challenge. They did all the daily challenges in the month of October, and they get their picture on the dartboard. And then at the end of this whole shindig, I go ahead and throw a dart at the dartboard. Whoever it lands on wins a Taylor GS Mini. I'll do that at the end. But again, just keep in mind, if you have questions throughout today, #question. We'll pull those aside, and I'll set aside 2 distinct areas of time to go ahead and answer those questions. So we'll dig into that. First, I do want to say hello to the folks that are tuning in. Let's see. We got Smiley Nelson. Chuck is here. Patty H is here. Puppy Doc is here. David L. Greg P. Jim G. Jesse L. Amarjeet W. That's a really cool name. Frank K. Dominic S. Jess E. Vince T. Let's see. We've got Paul A. Dan S. Juan E. The list goes on and on and on. Really pumped to see so many folks here today. So thank you so much for joining in. So let's dig into the official workshop. And we're going to talk about the Fretboard Wizard program. For those of you who may not be familiar, or for those of you who may be going through the Fretboard Wizard program for the first time, the Fretboard Wizard program is music theory as it applies to the guitar. Okay, now that's a pretty broad brushstroke there. So you could be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot. Well, the specialty of the Fretboard Wizard program is that it takes the 20% of theory that you'll use day in and day out all the time, the most effective 20%, and it focuses all of your efforts on that, because you'll use that 20% literally 99% of the time. And it's not that much, okay, but it's very potent information. Now, the whole goal with Fretboard Wizard is to get your head around these ideas, these theories, so that you can actually apply them to the guitar. Most theory programs show you theory in a theoretical sense, and it stays in a book, and you actually never apply it. That's not the case with Fretboard Wizard. During the first week of Fretboard Wizard, you'll focus on the foundational 5, which is a lot of theory. You have the musical alphabet, constructing a major scale, the chord matrix, chord tonality, and specifically for the guitar, the caged system. So those 5 things you'll spend time on. And then every subsequent week after that, you'll actually be applying those things to the guitar. You'll be using what you've learned. It's the best way to lock things in. It's the best way to connect the dots. It's the best way to see how truly powerful this information is. And I think the Fretboard Wizard program, I think that's its magic sauce. It's magic power. Magical powers. Fretboard Wizard. I dig that. Those are my little thinking asides. But seriously, this program has helped a ton of people. I want to say, I was going to quote a number, but I don't want to embarrass myself because it'll probably be much lower than the actuality. But there has been a ton of people that have gone through Fretboard Wizard, and I'm super excited for those that have hopped on this round. Now, what I'm about to share with you will help you work through the program itself. And this is stuff that we can apply to there's some very specific Fretboard Wizard stuff here that for those of you going through the program this round, you'll really enjoy. And I think you'll find really beneficial. But there's some other things that are just kind of more zoomed out, applicable to your guitar journey in general. So I want to make sure that you keep that in mind, because even if you didn't sign up for Fretboard Wizard this round, this stuff that I'm going to share with you will still apply to your guitar journey. But again, for those of you in Fretboard Wizard, this will be extremely, extremely powerful stuff. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind as you go through the Fretboard Wizard program is I want you to invest in the foundational 5. Now, what is the foundational 5? Let me zoom out a little bit. The foundational 5 are the 5 most basic things that any guitar player needs to understand and apply theory to their guitar. The foundational 5 are the musical alphabet, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over again in A. There's a natural half step between B and C, and natural half step between E and F. All the other pairs of notes, natural notes, there is a naturally occurring whole step. That's it. That's all you need to know. The next thing is constructing a major scale. If you start on C in the musical alphabet and then extrapolate that to the next C, you've got yourself the recipe for the major scale. The next piece of information, so that's 2, musical alphabet, major scale. The next piece is constructing a chord matrix based on a major scale. And this quite possibly is the single most important thing any guitar player can learn. Why? Because it unlocks where chords come from. It unlocks how to solo within a key. It unlocks the Nashville number system. It unlocks transposition. It unlocks learning songs from ear. It pretty much is your keys to the kingdom. And that's simply the chord matrix. Then we look at chord tonality. What makes a chord major? What makes a chord minor? Right? Is it a regular third or is it a flatted third? Regular third is a major chord. Flatted third is a minor chord. I'm just breezing through this because within the program I go into much more detail. And then finally, the caged system. The caged system might not seem necessarily practical in terms of playing, but it's a way to look at the guitar neck that breaks it down into pieces, manageable pieces, so you can see how frets 1 through 3 connect to 3 through 5, and how frets 5 through 7 connect to 7 through 10, and then frets 10 through 12 connect 12 to 15, so on and so forth. It kind of chunks down the neck. So those are the 5 things: musical alphabet, major scale, chord matrix, chord tonality, and the caged system. And I say invest your time into that module within the Fretboard Wizard course, because anything you learn in music theory from this point forward can be traced back to one of those pieces of the foundational 5, plain and simple. The foundational 5 are called the foundational 5 for the reason that they create a solid foundation. Pretty good, right? I used foundation 3 times in one sentence. But in all sincerity, the foundational 5 is the absolute bedrock, the keystone of your music theory as it applies to the guitar journey. So please take the time to invest in the foundational 5. And it seems like just a tiny bit of information, and it is. There's not many pieces. There's 5 things, but it's extremely powerful information. Stuff that you'll be using from this day forward, or from the day that you learn it forward. So take the time to invest in the foundational 5. It will pay off big time, and I really, truly mean that. The next tip I have for you is to take Fretboard Wizard one step at a time. Okay? The recommended pace to go through the course is to take one module per week and really sink into that module. And I say this because, we're looking at one principle per module. Save for the foundational 5. That's there's a bit in there. Okay, so keep that in mind. But every week thereafter, we're looking at one principle, And these principles really revolve around the application aspect of this information. That being the case, I want you to take your time with it and actually apply it. I want you to be able to try and learn how to truly find the song's key by ear. That's not something that you read and then you just realize. That's something that you read, you think through it, and then you start practicing it. The more you practice it, the more you lock in the skill. So each module, take a week to go through. Really put your time into each module, because I think you'll get the biggest rewards if you really spend time and sink into each module. The third thing I have for you, and actually kind of stems off what I just said, is there's the application piece, meaning you're applying what you learned to the guitar, and then there's the factual piece. And sometimes it's a two-way street between those two things, right? Sometimes you can read something and it just clicks. The light bulb comes on and you think, oh my gosh, that's a major scale. That's the recipe for any major scale. It clicked. I didn't even have to touch a guitar to learn it. Other times, you have to apply things to the guitar so you can specifically learn it, so it can kind of lock in, okay? And be patient with yourself, because some pieces of information you can simply read and you'll have it. Other pieces of information you'll have to read and say, I got to try this on the guitar, and that's what will lock in. There's no one right way. Everybody learns different. So keep that in mind. If you're reading something on the screen and you think, this isn't clicking, take it to the guitar and see if the guitar offers maybe a perspective that you didn't have before. The fourth tip that I have for you, and this is really applicable to anybody's guitar journey at any point in time, whether you're beginning, whether you're coming back after a long time away, whether you're in Fretboard Wizard for the fourth time or the very first time, is to please have patience. Again, this is not one of those things where you read it and all of a sudden, bam, it clicks and the light switch goes on. It's going to take some work, and it's going to take some time to really sink into these things, and have patience with yourself, especially when it comes to the ear training elements of it, finding a key by ear, figuring out a song's chords by ear. There's a method and a framework that's quite simple, but the application of that method and framework takes some time to really get under your fingers. It takes some time to get in your head. It takes some time to build the confidence so that you can say, yeah, I know that the chords that I just figured out are the true chords to the song. So have patience with yourself. Don't feel like it's a light switch. It's really, it's a progress. I don't want to be cliche that it's all about the journey, but it really is all about the journey. And then furthermore, if you're feeling overwhelmed at any point during Fretboard Wizard and you think to yourself, whoa, I'm in over my head, what the hell happened? Stop, take a break, reverse. Just go back to the last module. Reverse back to the point to where you felt, okay, I get it up until this point. Go back there and then chart your course forward again. Okay, sometimes you got to take a couple steps backwards so you can keep going forward, or whatever that is. What is it? 2 steps forward, 1 step back? I don't know what the phrase is, but you get you get the drift. Have patience with yourself. Now, the final thing that I have to share with you, let me give you a quick little recap. So invest in the foundational 5 is number 1. Take it one module at a time. Specifically, if you want to kind of, my prescription, 1 module per week is plenty enough to chew on. The application piece and the factual piece, it's a two-way street. Sometimes you learn it in a book and it's great. Sometimes you have to take it to the guitar to really have it sink in. The next thing is to have patience with yourself, right? Remember, this isn't a light switch. This is a process. This is a journey that you're on that you can really sink into. And that actually brings me to the final piece, and that is this. Small wins are critical. You have to take time to celebrate small wins, especially within the Fretboard Wizard course. You're gonna have a fair amount of information coming your way. Sometimes, in some cases, some of the stuff you've never even heard before. So when the light bulb comes on and you make a connection and you get something and you feel that kind of physical reaction, like I think I got it. Take the time to relish in that moment. Celebrate that. That's huge. It's kind of a journey of discovery here. So keep in mind, those small wins, it may even seem silly to stop and say, all right, good job, Tony. You got it. You made the connection between the chord matrix and the chord progression of a song. Take the time to say that. Talk to yourself if you're one of those folks that, like me, that talks to themselves. Um, those small wins, it's like adding change to a piggy bank. You don't notice it at the time, but pretty soon you crack that piggy bank open and you think, "Holy cow! I could take the family on vacation. I've saved my pennies for years." That's what small wins are. It's like a guitar skill savings bank, or yeah, something like that. The small wins are crucial, and especially with Fretboard Wizard, because sometimes the light bulb comes on and it comes on pretty strong, and it's pretty darn exciting. So keep that in mind as you go through the course. Now, there's one thing very specific to Fretboard Wizard that I need to mention, and that is this. The Fretboard Wizard program is a truly incredible program that has helped so many people do the thing that they've always wanted to do: learn a song by ear, sit down and play with somebody after never having heard the song before, and have the confidence that when they're soloing, they can actually hit the right notes and realize where chords come from. This program is so exciting, and I'm going to add one piece of excitement to it. So for those of you going through the Fretboard Wizard program this round, we're going to be doing a pretty awesome giveaway. And it's going to relate to something I'll talk about later. But at the conclusion of the Fretboard Wizard program, which concludes on December 16th, that will be our last live party during the Fretboard Wizard program. I'll be giving away a Waterloo guitar. Yes, made by the folks at Collings, shipped directly to your door. A Waterloo guitar could be yours. All you have to do is submit your Fretboard Wizard declaration by December 15th at 5 p.m. I'll say that again. To be entered to win the Waterloo guitar, all you have to do is submit your Fretboard Wizard declaration by December 15th at 5 p.m. in the Tony's Acoustic Challenge forum, the appropriate Tony's Acoustic Challenge forum. Now, you're going to see some examples of those Fretboard Wizard declarations a little bit later today to get your head wrapped around what you might say, what you might do. But these Fretboard Wizard declarations really work twofold. Number one, you get entered in to win a Waterloo guitar. Usually I do the WL12 because it's my favorite model, and I think people should have that guitar. So that's the one thing, is you get entered in to win a stellar guitar. The second thing is these Fretboard Wizard declarations serve to inspire somebody to finally learn that thing that maybe they didn't think they ever could, or maybe they put off. So these Fretboard Wizard declarations are kind of fun for yourself to reflect, but also fun to inspire the next wave of Fretboard Wizards. I was going to say Fretboard Wizardians, but the plural of wizard is just simply wizards. It just doesn't sound as official. You know what I mean? So there you have it. Just some tidbits to help you through the program. And again, keep that marked on your calendar. You want to have your Fretboard Wizard declaration submitted in the forum on December 15th, by December 15th at 5 p.m., because I'll be doing the drawing the following day during the live guitar party. That's December 16th. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on all the dates and times via email. So don't feel like if you missed it, you're like, oh, what was that date? Don't worry. You'll be very much kept in the loop. So at this point in time, I do want to ask if you have any questions. Ideally, questions specifically related to Fretboard Wizard and the content within it. I'll take those first. Those will kind of get first stab, I should say. I guess Halloween's kind of over, but I'm going to say first stab because it makes me remember Halloween. But go ahead in the comments, put #question. And then please go ahead and write your question. This just helps us figure out which is an actual question. So again, in the comments, #question. And then here in just a little bit, we're going to look at a couple of performances. But here in just a little bit, I'll go ahead and get to that first round of questions. But I want to give you some time to think about your question. I'm going to give you some time to go ahead and type it in the comments there. Again, #question. Let's look at a couple performances from within the Tony's Acoustic Challenge community. Now, this first one comes from Lori R., and she's going to play Billy in the Low Ground for us. And this is really fun because this is the first time that she just finished the flat picking skills course. And she says this about her performance: "I just finished my first flat picking course, and here is my early results. Not perfect, but oh, how I love learning every day. Honestly, I can't wait to pick up my guitar each day when I get home from work, even if my workday has been 16 hours long. I love it. Thanks, Tony." So cool. And I mean, let's look at her performance, and then I'll just kind of gush about how awesome her guitar routine sounds. Here's Lori R. playing Billy in the Low Ground.
Hi everyone, this is Lori. I just finished Tony's flat picking course and I am going to play for you Billy in the Low Ground. I for one like to read about the history behind the music. I think that Tony always picks historical songs and there has to be some significance for each one of us about that. So during my research through the National Archives, I learned that this had once been considered a marching tune in 1944 in Greene County, Pennsylvania, which to me was significant because I grew up there. And it is a very rural county in southwestern Pennsylvania, so it was kind of interesting for me to find out that little tidbit of information. It had been written much earlier in Kentucky, I believe. All right, here we go. Not perfect, but always a good time. I love it. Thanks everyone for listening.
So cool to see that performance. I have to say, Lori did a great job in her pick direction. One of the things that really can hang up a lot of first-time flat pickers is the pick direction. The tendency is to want to do all downstrokes. In fact, that's the very pitfall that I fell into when I first started flat picking. Was I tried to do everything with downstrokes. And I remember my teacher at the time, Chris Walls at the Old Town School of Folk Music, he said, because I showed him a song that I learned, and he said, "Oh, that's really great, Tone, but I want you to go ahead and relearn that, and I want you to do alternating pick strokes, in accordance with the time." So to see Lori do that right off the bat is really something special, and awesome historical factoids about the tune as well. So thank you for sharing that, Lori. Let's give it up for Lori. I'm going to give her a little applause here. All right. I also have a party noisemaker. Yeah, because it's a party. That's why I did that. Anyways, so that's a great performance. Thanks so much, Lori, for that. Our next performance is a fantastic fingerstyle. I was trying to think of another F word I could throw in there. Fantastic flurry of fingerstyle fretted fingers, five of them. How about that? This next performance comes from Carol M. And Carol M. I've known for actually quite some time now. She's been to, I want to say, every Acoustic Life Festival. When it started out as the TAC Jamboree, and I've seen her playing grow leaps and bounds. Talk about a player that just has such a wonderful, delicate touch and incredible resulting tone. So here is Carol M. She's going to play the tune, and I hope I say this correctly. If for those of you in the comments, if I'm goofing the name of this tune, please correct me. Shebeg Shemore, I believe that's correct. And she says this. So this was a thread in the forum. There was a little discussion back and forth. It says, "Pobby, you posted some Turlo O'Carolyn in Share the Music. I'm a fan of Turlo O as well as Pete Huttlinger, who plays an awesome arrangement of Turlo's song, Shebeg Shemore." And she also says, "Don't ask me how to pronounce that. It's been mangled up way too often, I'm afraid." She says, Carol says, "Anyway, I learned Pete Huttlinger's arrangement of this song a while ago. It's also in Dadgad, which I think is a prerequisite with him." Indeed, I had the pleasure of knowing Pete, and he arranged a lot in Dadgad, which is great tuning. And here is Carol M. playing Pete Huttlinger's arrangement of, again, pronunciation, Shebeg Shemore. what fantastic playing. Round of applause to Carol there. And also, I'm going to throw the party noise on again. And I turned it down this time, so hopefully it doesn't blow up your computer speakers. There we go. Maybe that was still a little bit loud. But nonetheless, wow. You know, one of the things that I love looking at these performances because we can learn so much from watching other people play. Whether that person is just beginning or whether that person has played for a long time, you can always learn something from someone else. And one of the things I've always admired about Carol's playing is her ease of tension. Or literally, there's no tension in her picking hand. It flows. It's like water. It's so effortless, and it shows. Like I said when I was kind of queuing up that clip, you know, Carol has such a delicate touch, and that translates into such phenomenal tone. What a great rendition of that song. I think Pete would be very, very proud to hear that, and just fantastic on all accounts. So thank you very much, Carol. Very, very good stuff there. I want to get to a couple of questions here that came in, and these are some really, really good stuff. I got to tell you, you all are on point today. You're on point, and I appreciate that because I'm sometimes wavering. I'm sometimes on point, and I'm sometimes not. This first question comes from Bill C., and he says, question, between the daily TAC lessons, expanded courses, for example, Fretboard Wizard, learning song repertoire, practicing finger and flat picking skills, improvisation, and again, expanding your song repertoire, how does one set up a daily schedule to cover everything? This is so, so important. Because one of the things that I want you to lean on here, Bill, and for anybody else with this problem, with this question, one of the things I want you to lean on is, if you attended the live party last time, we talked about a 90-day guitar goal. And one of the things that really helps you decide whether something fits in your current schedule or your current track of study or not is if it aligns and will help further your 90-day guitar goal. So that's kind of a quick little test you can ask yourself and say, does this fit right now? You know, is expanding my song repertoire going to help me learn the fretboard? If the answer is no, you're not saying no to expanding your song repertoire. You're simply saying, I'm gonna deprioritize learning my song repertoire, and I'm gonna go ahead and focus on learning the fretboard. Now, easier said than done, right? Sometimes it's like, well, I like the variety and I kind of want to do a little bit of everything. In that case, I would say, first and foremost, always lean on the daily challenge. Log in, press start, just get your playing started for the day. The reason I say this is because you don't have to think. One of the biggest traps I get caught in, and I think we as guitar geeks get caught in, is sitting down and being like, I'm going to play guitar today. And then the next question is, oh gosh, you know, guitar's in your lap. What am I going to play today? Let me surf around a little bit. Well, that leads to a lot of wasted time. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. If I don't know what I'm going to play before I sit down, it's like I am entering the black hole of distraction. I'm just opening myself up to whatever comes across my screen, be it looking at gear from Carter Vintage Guitars, be it specking out a custom set of goalie pads. I mean, I go all over the place. So I have to know what I'm going to work on before I sit down. That being the case, that's why I say lean on that daily challenge, because you can simply just log in, press start, and you're playing. Something that you know will help you get better. Now, in terms of working in Fretboard Wizard with this, how do you do that? Well, you know, if you're on track with Fretboard Wizard and you think, you know, I'm sinking my time into one module per week, but this week I hadn't, everything clicked pretty good, and I feel like I really got the lesson. I took the test, everything went well. I feel like I understand the concept. I feel like I can apply it. And then you can say, well, gosh, maybe I'll just dive back into the daily challenge for the remainder of the week. But it really kind of boils down to, what's going to help fuel your 90-day guitar goal? What's going to help you achieve your dream guitar scene? What's going to help you at the end of this quarter, at the end of the year in this case, say, man, I didn't think I could do that thing I set out to do, but lo and behold, I did it. So keep that in mind. You don't have to do everything all the time. Just know and be very, very, have intention as you go into it. Say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do Fretboard Wizard this round. That might mean that you take the foot off the gas of the daily challenges a little bit, and you simply shift your focus to Fretboard Wizard. That's okay. Those daily challenges will always be there after Fretboard Wizard, or if you kind of reach a sticking point within Fretboard Wizard, you can always lean on those daily challenges again. And I would say the same is true for the skills courses. You know, if becoming a better flat picker is your 90-day guitar goal, well then spending time in the flat picking course is time very well spent. Whereas if expanding your song repertoire is your 90-day goal, spending your time learning how to flat pick might not be the best way to achieve that. You might want to sink into learning songs instead. So keep in mind, kind of reflect upon where you're at and where you want to go. But again, I think the daily challenges are the underlying kind of bedrock of a solid routine. As long as you keep that solid routine up, you'll progress and you'll start to spend the time with the things that align with your 90-day guitar goal. Next question comes from Greg P., and he says this: I know music theory. I know and can find the notes and chords easily and figure out songs. My problem is that I have to think about where the notes are each time, and that slows me down a lot. What exercises would be better to play more, think less? Think like finger memory here. And this is awesome. So Greg, there's actually a course within Tony's Acoustic Challenge called Foundations of Fretboard Navigation. And what it does is it shows you exercises that pair notes of the same name. Let me explain a little bit here to give you a little bit of context here. Because I think one of the things that we can get caught up on, and again, I always say we, but I include myself in that as well. One of the things we can get caught up on is naming all the notes, knowing where they're at. Okay, the two different things here, so let's separate the two. Let's make naming all the notes easy. Let's just focus on the natural notes. That gives us 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Know all the natural notes. Don't worry about the sharps. Don't worry about the flats. Because we know this. If I'm sitting at an A note, get this on the computer screen. If I'm sitting at an A note, and I know that there's a B note next, yeah, I'm leaving a fret on the table, but I can use kind of deduction to come to that note name. A, B, well, in between A and B is B flat or A sharp, right? So limit what you have to remember. That's the first step, okay? The second step is the note's location. And I have to say that I kind of lean on some anchor points, and I use the dots on the guitar neck exclusively to do this. I know that the low E string is kind of it's kind of the gatekeeper to know all the note names. So I really align with the dots. So I know that the first dot, the 3rd fret, is a G, 5th dot, A, 7th dot, B. Now this is where things get weird because that 9th dot is actually a C sharp. So I actually just use 3, 5, and 7. And then the 12th is where everything repeats. But everybody has their own little tricks. So that's what works for me. It might not work for you, and that's fine. But here's what I want you to kind of use, okay? We can find other notes based on the notes that we know. Meaning, if I'm fretting a note on the low E string, in this case, it's an A note again on the 5th fret, I know that there's a pattern. If I go 2 strings towards the floor, 2 frets towards the body, I just found that A note on the D string. And I also know that my guitar has 2 E strings, so whatever I fret on the low E, I can fret on the high E, and that's an A as well. So by finding one note, I actually found 3, or I guess 2 off of the one note, but those little patterns are the things that I discuss in that Foundations of Fretboard Wizard Navigations course. Foundations of Fretboard Navigations course. Sorry, that's a mouthful. But those little patterns can really unlock and relieve some of that feeling like you have to memorize every little thing. If we limit what we limit what we memorize, but make what we memorize very useful and very powerful, then the things that we're memorizing, although they are few, can actually take us really, really far. So keep that in mind as you go forward. I hope that helps out, Greg. That's a really good question. There's a lot more patterns than just the one that I showed you. And again, I go into that in great detail in that Foundations of Fretboard Navigations course. Next question, Rob L. This is an easy one. He says, I'll be traveling during the course. Can I still take the course? 100% absolutely. Fretboard Wizard is, you take it on your schedule. If you feel like logging in at 2 a.m. because you can't sleep, Fretboard Wizard will be there. It's like a good friend. If you want to get up early, brew a pot of coffee, and I say a pot because I drink coffee by the pot. You can access it then. All of any live Q&A, things like this will be archived, and you'll be able to access them. So don't fear, you're not going to miss out on anything because you're traveling. You access it when you can access it. All the information will be there. And then the last question here, Lee W. says, I started the Fretboard Wizard a few months back and got stuck when it moved on to bar chords. Any suggestions on getting over the hurdle this time? Yes, absolutely. So I have to say this. In terms of Fretboard Wizard, bar chords are best viewed through the lens of a tool. Do you have to use the pneumatic hammer every single time you pound a nail? No, but sometimes it makes it easier. Bar chords are the pneumatic hammer of guitar. Bar chords, you don't have to use them all the time. They are a tool, and conceptually, they offer some fantastic information. For example, let me just use the cage system, for example, because this hangs a lot of people up. The cage system, in and of itself, is really great for navigation and concept and visualizing things on the fretboard. In terms of actual application, it's not the easiest thing to do. For example, if I start with the C chord, according to the cage system, I know that my next C chord is an A-shaped C chord, and that will be here. Sorry, my chord is on my strings here. It sounds like crap. Right? Now, if I had a chance to pick between this chord and this chord, you betcha I'd be picking this chord. So again, bar chords is more, for me, it's more of a, I know that that's there if I need to use it, or if I need to use a piece of it. Okay? So just because a bar chord is maybe a full 6 strings, that doesn't mean you can't pick and choose what you want to fret or what makes the chord easy. Adjusting a bar chord to work for you is not cheating. It's just simply playing the guitar. Okay, so just because a bar chord might look like this, let's see if you can see it, sorry. That doesn't mean you can't play it like this. This is just as much of that chord as this is, or this. So you can adjust the chords to your comfort level and where you're at. There's no sense in trying to do a bar chord if it feels impossible. Adjust it to your skill level. Adjust it to your comfort level. And in time, those small little adjustments, those add up. And pretty soon you'll be able to make the full thing if you need to. I mean, I try and avoid bar chords at all costs, to be honest. I mean, and that's that's not cheating. That's just, I don't like the sound of bar chords on the acoustic guitar. Sometimes they're necessary, and in that case, I'll play them. But if I can avoid them at any cost, I will. I really will. And I don't feel bad about that. And I'm not going to apologize for it either. So that's a great question, Lee. I would say hang in there. And anytime you feel frustrated with bar chords, try and look at them through the lens of, how will this help me better understand the fretboard? So separate the actual doing from what it offers you in terms of visualizing and patterns on the fretboard. That's an awesome question, Lee. I really appreciate all those questions. Now, I want to go to some Fretboard Wizard declarations. These are some folks that have been through the program that want to share what they've learned with you, be it a song or just them talking about their experience. And I should note, if you do have questions, I'm not done taking questions, so if you do have questions or if questions come up as we're looking through these next couple performances, please let me know in the comments, #question, and then we'll do another second round of questions. But let's go ahead and check out Janice H's Fretboard Wizard declaration. Now, Jan is from Michigan, and this is quite possibly the friendliest Fretboard Wizard declaration I've ever seen in my life. She's very inviting, and she's pretty awesome at telling you what she learned. Here's Jan.
Hi, my name is Jan and I'm from Michigan. Before I took Fretboard Wizard, my biggest apprehension was figuring out where all of the notes are located on the fretboard. That just seemed daunting. What I didn't realize is there are patterns using the strings that I could learn to make this easier. I also didn't realize that there was so much more that I could learn than just finding notes. By using a chord matrix, I can understand the major and minor chord progressions in a scale, as well as identify the chord tones in each chord. Combining this knowledge with soloing and melody creation frameworks unlocks so much more musical potential than just knowing where the notes are located. The step-by-step approach in Fretboard Wizard makes it so much easier to understand all of this. If you're contemplating Fretboard Wizard, my advice would be to take the course and space it out so that you have time to manage it and absorb the information, because there's a lot there, but it's all good stuff and it's all very interesting. I also found that repeating some of the videos was very useful for me. So, this is my official declaration. I am a Fretboard Wizard. And I hope you become one too, and good luck in your guitar journey.
Awesome. I want to thank Jan for submitting that Fretboard Wizard declaration and really outlining how it worked for her, and some little tips and tricks that she kind of embedded in there too. Just saying, if you have to rewatch a video, go ahead, rewatch it. You can rewatch them as many times as you want. If you want to just put it on loop and have me teach you Fretboard Wizard while you go to bed at night, you can do that. That's an option. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Next up, so this is what happens. I'm in the studio and I just the coffee's kicking in. The coffee is kicking in. Next up, we have Steve M. Now, Steve M. submitted a Fretboard Wizard declaration, and what he did is he showed what he learned. And this is so cool because he took a song in the key of A, and he transposed it to the key of C without using a capo or anything like that. It's very cool. And here's what Steve had to say. He says, "I did it. Not only did I put my newfound fretboard knowledge to use by transposing from A to C, I really left my comfort zone and tried using different areas on the neck as well. The result was a little shaky, as you'll see, but it's all a part of the learning process, and I continue to level up my fretboard wizardry every day. Thank you, Tony, for the keys to the fretboard kingdom in a way that's not only understandable, but fun as well. And shout out to the TAC community. I've only been a member for a couple months, but the feedback and positive energy are terrific and a great source of encouragement. Everybody stay safe, Steve." Now, here is Steve playing in the key of A, and then shortly thereafter, we'll follow it up with the same thing in the key of C.
Okay, Fretboard Wizard, level 1, key of A.
All right, so that was Steve playing in the key of A. Now we're going to look at him, listen to him, look and listen to him play the same thing in the key of C. Here he is.
Fretboard Wizard, level 1, key of C. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. Key of C. 1, 2, 3. That's the closest I've come yet.
Pretty awesome stuff from Steve. Love seeing that. So cool to see him work through the transposition and share it with us. I mean, some of this stuff is really truly powerful, and to see like, hey, that's the closest Steve's come yet, and have it captured on video is so cool. And I'm so happy to share that with all of you. And I want to thank Steve and Jan for sharing their Fretboard Wizard declarations. Let's give them a round of applause here. And we'll give them a little party noise too. Why not? We can do that. We'll give them a little DJ air horn. How about that? Anyways, I just want to thank both of those two for their declarations. And that's all you have to do is complete the Fretboard Wizard course, submit your Fretboard Wizard declaration, and then, again, by December 15th at 5 p.m., and then you'll be entered in to win a Waterloo. I believe WL12 is what will be given away. Again, that's December 15th at 5 p.m. is the last chance you'll get to submit your Fretboard Wizard declaration, just like Jan and Steve did. I got a couple more performances here for you that I want you to take a look at. Some great stuff from the TAC community. And just real quick, I wanted to say hi to JP Comier, who was tuning in on YouTube. Very cool to see a fellow guitar geek, fantastic guitar player, a hell of a finger picker. He plays, I think, pretty much every style and real well. He's got some great demos on Boucher guitars on his channel, and some really great, just some really great performances on his channel as well. Not to mention albums and many, many other very guitar geeky things. So if you are new to JP Comier, or if you have not heard him yet, please check him out. Fantastic player, and like I said, got some great guitar demos. Really stellar guitars from Boucher. In fact, I still, to this day, there's a 12 fret, I think it was a Heritage Goose that I played that it haunts my dreams. It haunts my dreams. So I actually need to reach out to the folks at Boucher and see if I can make dreams come true. Anyways, that's not what I'm not here to talk about my guitar lust. I'm here to talk about some other performances. Let's check in with the TAC community here. This is from a daily challenge, a Wednesday daily challenge. Wednesdays we focus on improvisation. You'll learn a skill, and then you get a chance to play that scale over a backing track, kind of your own solo. And here is Sam H. and his little improvisation session. Great stuff from Sam. Really appreciate him sharing that. And also, just note the way that he kind of laid the melody on top of the backing track. It was really delicately done, and it kind of had this kind of bouncy feel. And one of the things that I think Sam did extremely well at was repeated phrases, repeated musical phrases to kind of, a lot of times when we're soloing, it feels like maybe, oh gosh, I'm just playing a scale. It doesn't sound like anything. Sam took musical phrases and kind of took the scale or linear playing out of the equation and just used these repeated phrases to kind of give us a little bit of a musical journey to go on. Great work, Sam. Really appreciate you sharing that. As I mentioned before, this next performance comes from Mitch C, and this is really cool because Mitch learned the beginning to one of my tunes. And I really appreciate the time he spent learning this. Mitch says, this is my attempt at Tony's beautiful piece. Please share feedback as well as suggestions on what I might want to learn next, given considering how much I love this one. Thanks. Well, Mitch, this is a real treat to listen to. You did a fantastic job. Let's listen to Mitch play part of one of my tunes. The Smoke is Cleared. Awesome stuff from Mitch. Thanks again so much, Mitch, for choosing to cover that tune and just playing it so well. And I love the strumming piece at the end. And as I was watching that, I thought to myself, because you had asked, you said, please share feedback as well as suggestions on what I might want to learn next, given considering how much I love this one. And I thought to myself, if you dig the open tuning stuff, and what you strummed at the end reminded me of was Joni Mitchell. She uses alternate tunings quite a bit, and the rhythm and approach that you had towards the end reminded me very much of Joni Mitchell. So I'm going to throw my suggestion in the ring. Check out some Joni Mitchell songs. I'm trying to think of a specific one, but I can't right now. If you have any suggestions for Mitch, go ahead and throw them in the comments below. Now, I do want to dig into a couple more questions that came in, and I do have a guitar to give away. So this is going to be some exciting times. I'm going to throw a dart. I've got my darts somewhere over here. Oh, here they are. Like I said, my desk is a mess. Just to give you an idea of how messy my desk is, I've got 2 of these just hanging out, random books, pens, huge guitar picks, guitar geek things. But I got my darts ready to give away the guitar. But first, I want to answer a couple of questions that were asked, and I have a question to ask you. In fact, in the comments, if you right now could do me a huge favor and let me know of a small win that you had in the last month. Put hashtag small win and go ahead and describe it. Maybe you changed your strings for the first time. Maybe you found a new artist. Maybe you finally got an F chord and it didn't sound buzzy and it didn't sound fuzzy and it didn't sound cruddy and it didn't sound muddy. That would be awesome to know. So please let me know in the comments below. Whatever your small win, let me know. Hashtag small win in the comments. And also, I'll ask specifically for those of you who have gone through the Fretboard Wizard program, what was the biggest light bulb moment that you had? Put hashtag light bulb moment in the comments. And I'll read those here a little bit later when I'm searching for the winner of the guitar. But let me hit a couple of questions here. And this first one's an easy one. I like the easy questions, especially towards when it gets this late in the live hang. Well, actually, I'm pretty caffeinated, so bring it on. This first question comes from Beatrice D. By the way, Beatrice, you've got a great guitar arsenal. Keep your eyes peeled for an upcoming Acoustic Tuesday episode where you'll be featured, if it's indeed the same Beatrice D. She says, will we have live Q&As with Tony during the course? And the answer is yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to give you some dates right now, but don't worry. If you don't have anything to write these down, we'll send out email reminders, of course, for those of you in the Fretboard Wizard program. We'll be going live November 18th for a kind of a midway check-in. And then we'll also be going live. I just pulled up my calendar and realized that we'll have another Tony's Acoustic Challenge live guitar party on December 2nd. Which will be another chance to get some questions answered. It won't necessarily be strictly Fretboard Wizard focused, but I could see for those going through the program, if you have some questions, that would be another time to ask. And then finally, we'll wrap everything up on December 16th. Okay, so I'll read those dates one more time. So for live Q&As, revolving around Fretboard Wizard and the material that's contained within the course, we've got November 18th at 11 a.m., December 2nd, at 11 a.m. And again, that one is going to be a Tony's Acoustic Challenge live party. Not necessarily Fretboard Wizard focused, but I wouldn't shy away from any questions if you had them there. And then finally, December 14th at 11 a.m. And that is, I think those are all Wednesdays. I'm sorry, December 16th on the last one. December 16th, which is a Wednesday. I'll read the dates one more time just to make sure we're all on the same page. November 18th at 11 a.m., December 2nd at 11 a.m., and December 16th at 11 a.m. December 16th will be the wrap-up. That's where I'll give away the guitar. And remember to have your Fretboard Wizard declaration in by December 15th at 5 p.m. Okay, next question. Tony, how do you complete the 5 foundations in 1 week? I thought the foundations would take 5 weeks. This is a great question, and for some, it might take a little bit longer than a week, and that's totally okay. Like I said at the very beginning of our live Q&A here, take the time to invest in the foundational 5. The reason I say that you technically could do it in a week is because the foundational 5 is split up into layers. Or steps, I should say, meaning you first start out learning the musical alphabet. That segues directly into learning the major scale. which segues directly into the chord matrix, which segues directly into chord tonality. And then all that information is kind of contained within the caged framework. So those first 4 of the 5 foundations really lead into one another. And rather than try and teach them all together, I simply separated them and spent time on each one to make sure that the knowledge was truly there and the foundation was truly built. So technically, you can do it in a week. But if the information's not sinking, if it's not sticking, if it's feeling a little like I kind of get it, but not really, you can take longer than a week in that foundational 5. Like I said, it's best to invest the time into that foundational 5 because the foundational 5 will provide such a huge foundation for the rest of your Fretboard Wizard journey. So if it's taking longer than a week, please don't feel like you're behind. You're not behind. You can go through this course at your own pace. Yes, we've designated 6 weeks for the course, but if we're on week 4 and you're still on week 2, you're not behind. You're just learning at your own pace, and your questions are just as valid as for those who are on week 4 at that point. So you can do this at your own pace, and really I think ultimately the goal here is comprehension as opposed to just getting through all the material. The comprehension is really key because that's what allows you to use it on your guitar. One more question here. Lisa asks, can the course work translate to electric guitar? 110% yes, absolutely. If a guitar's got 6 strings, if you tune it in standard tuning, everything within Fretboard Wizard will apply, 100%. In fact, I would recommend for those of you who go between acoustic and electric, of course, spend most of your time on the acoustic because we all know the acoustic guitar is superior. But yeah, try it out on electric just to kind of see the different perspective and really sink into it. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you'll see that what you're learning in Fretboard Wizard is quite universal. In fact, here's the crazy thing. I use the material in Fretboard Wizard on a ton of different instruments. I mentioned mandolin earlier. I use it on mandolin all the time. I use it on anything with strings and frets because the universal rules that you can pull out of Fretboard Wizard are true for any stringed fretted instrument. In fact, that's how potent this information is. You really can use it on a multitude of instruments, but it's easiest for us guitar geeks to just stick with one. So that's what we'll do. No, we don't need any extra distractions. We got enough of those floating around online. So keep that in mind going forward. One of the things that I want to do now, I was just checking my notes. Sorry, these earphones are crushing my ears, and that's why I keep putting them in weird spots. Anyways, so we got our questions answered. If you guys have any random small questions going on, go ahead and please let me know in the comments, #question. And don't forget to put your small wins in there. I do see some small wins popping in, which is exciting. But before I read those small wins, let me go ahead and give a guitar away. I'm going to give away a Taylor GS Mini today, and you'll see on the dartboard, I did it again. It's mirrored, so I do this thinking it's there, but it's there. There's a dartboard behind me, and on that dartboard there are pictures of everyone who finished all the daily challenges during the month of October. For those folks who did that, they get their picture on that dartboard, and I throw a dart at it. Whoever the dart lands on wins themselves a Taylor GS Mini shipped directly to their door, yes, as a celebration of their dedication to their guitar routine. So with that being said, let me throw hopefully just one dart, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3. I'm going to take these headphones off, give my ears some relief, and here goes nothing. I wish I had something to play for y'all. I'm going to just do this. Applause. I'm going to do party music. Okay, here we go. I'm going to throw some darts. Alrighty, I am back from that dart throwing experience, and one of the things that dawned on me that I wanted to share with you all as I was doing this is I threw a dart and it landed really close to 2 people. But I had to pick the one with the profile picture because the other one didn't have a profile picture. See, check this out. Where is it? I don't know if you can see that. See where the dart is? See where the hole is? If that person just had a profile picture, they would have won a guitar, but they didn't have a profile picture. I guess that just goes to show you should add your profile picture if you haven't done so. Let me go ahead and look at the winner and see if I can find them. This is always a journey because there were so many people that finished. I couldn't believe how many people finished. It's kind of stunning, to be honest. Let's see if I can find the individual. All right. This might prove a little bit more difficult than I thought. Let me see here. All right. That row. Okay, we got that row all the way down. It's like Connect 4, but different. And we got, all right. Oh, there's 2 people in this profile picture. Let's see who we got here. Who do we have? It's coming up. Oh, all right. It looks like Kevin C. Kevin C. won himself a Taylor GS Mini. Kevin C., congratulations to you. You will receive a Taylor GS Mini shipped directly to your door. Let's go ahead and give Kevin C. a round of applause. Let's give him a little bit of a DJ air horn. Let's give him a glockenspiel. Ta-da! He won. He won a Taylor GS Mini. Awesome, Kevin C. Great job, and keep your eyes peeled because there's going to be a guitar-shaped package coming to your house. So that all being said, let's go ahead and dig into some small wins. Just before I let you go for the day, a lot of really fun stuff happened today. Holy smoke, this has been a blast. You know, when the technology works, we can chill, we can drink coffee, and I love it. So thank you for being here today. Let's go through a couple of these small wins. Dr. Dave says this, small win, I've been transcribing several songs each week, transposing with ease when it suits my voice or my preferences. I owe this mostly to the Fretboard Wizard course, which I first took in fall of 2017, and a lot of practice. I hardly ever look for a tab anymore. That is so rad. That is so cool to hear, Dr. Dave. Congratulations. That's a hell of a small win. Jonathan H. says this, a small win, finally started a daily practice log to keep myself motivated. Great job. You know, you hit on something really important here, Jonathan, in that, you know, so many times we seek out mastery of the guitar, and we want to just master the guitar. We want to spend our time on the skills, the techniques, and all this stuff. And while I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think spending time playing the guitar, working on skills and techniques is important. But if you spend time and invest the time in developing a solid practice routine, that is what propels your guitar journey. Okay, that's what gives you that daily progress, that sense of consistent progress and fun that you need to keep going and keep playing guitar. So great job, Jonathan, really dedicating yourself to your practice routine. Bill C's got a small win. He says, I signed up for a live online course for Irish guitar accompaniment at your old haunt, the Old Town School of Folk Music, getting better at palm muting and real timing. That's so cool, Bill. Congratulations. I'm actually curious if you can throw in the comments who taught the course. I'd be curious who taught the course. Old Town School is a fantastic establishment and one that I feel really privileged and honored to have worked at. I was a store employee there from I was my last couple years of college through 2008, and I learned so much. I learned a ton there. So really cool to see you reaching out to those folks and attending one of their workshops, Bill. Awesome stuff. TJ has a small win. This community has made the process of playing so easily I can actually and am playing for others. That's awesome, TJ. So cool to be able to share your love of guitar and music with other people and to have the confidence to do so, and to hear that the community helped out is pretty awesome. That's a great small win. Penny C says this, using Tony's stretching videos before practicing Fretboard Wizard has been a game changer for my chords and fretboard movements. I'm stretching way beyond what I thought I could, and my strength is improving daily. Even that darn pinky. Very cool stuff, Penny. Congratulations. For those of you wondering what you might be talking about, there's a stretching course, Stretching for Guitarists course within the I believe it's the Stage 2 courses So make sure to check that out. It is truly beneficial, and that course came from me going to a physical therapist because I was experiencing a ton of hand and arm pain, and the physical therapist, or the chiropractor, I should say, actually prescribed some stretches for me, to which I shared with everybody else. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be one, but I found them beneficial, and I wanted to share them with you in case they benefited you as well. And it sounds like they did indeed benefit Penny. Sandy M says this: small win, being able to stand up, play, and sing a couple of songs that I'm learning. Congratulations, that's super awesome. John W. says he's making good progress on learning to fingerpick a song he'll play for his daughter's wedding. That's awesome. What a great way to kind of give yourself some fuel, something to work towards. What an awesome goal. Fantastic stuff. A couple of light bulb moments from Fretboard Wizard here. Ken P. says, light bulb moment. I took this last quarter to focus solely on scales, being able to play major or pentatonic scale in any key in multiple ways in multiple locations. Nothing else. I've made great progress helping put the fretboard to good use. I believe that's what that says. Awesome stuff, Ken. That's a great light bulb moment. And then a final one here from Dave A. Light bulb moment, the foundational 5. The matrix to help finding scales from any note opened my eyes like never before. The full and half step rules are exactly what I needed. Such great stuff. I can't say how cool that is to read and hear. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your small wins, sharing your stories, commenting, creating discussion, and really helping to cheer on your fellow guitar geeks. It's so great to see, and something that, well, I think we all need, always. We always need that good, solid guitar geek cheering section. So let me just quickly go over a couple of things to expect going forward. Let me outline the next couple of lives. I know I said it before, but I goofed up the dates, so I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The next live is November 18th. That will be a Fretboard Wizard midway check-in, November 18th at 11 a.m. Following that, we'll have a Tony's Acoustic Challenge live party, which, of course, Fretboard Wizard questions are welcome. And that is going to be on December 2nd, a Wednesday at 11 a.m. And then the final Fretboard Wizard wrap-up will be on December 16th at December 16th at 11 a.m. I'm throwing a lot of dates. Like I said, don't worry about writing them down. We'll send emails to make sure you are all in the loop. And that pretty much wraps up our live party today. I want to thank everybody for sharing your time with me. Thanks for being a guitar geek. And remember, guitar geeks unite. One more thing I do want you to remember as well, and this was touched on in a small win. Remember, your guitar progress, however you define guitar success and progress, is directly related to your guitar routine. So please take the time to invest in your guitar routine. Commit to that daily 10 minutes and really set an intention and reflect and evaluate on your playing. As we did here. It's such a great way to keep that positive momentum in your guitar journey and make sure that you keep playing and make sure that it stays fun. Because if anything, we know that fun fuels progress. If you're not having any fun, that's when the guitar ends up under the bed, and I don't want that for you or any guitar in this world. So make sure to stay having fun, and remember, Guitar Geeks Unite. Until next time, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the flip side.